Welcome into Texas at the Voice of College Football. It is Texas Primetime. I am your host, Jay Watt. You can follow me on social media at Metro Sports YT. B. Ross is our other co-host today. He is, of course, former NFL player, former NFL scout. You can follow him at 1b.ross on IG and TikTok. B. Ross, how you doing today, my man?
I'm good, brother. We got a lot to unpack this today.
Yes, so we're going to start off with some things that have happened the past few days, and then later in the live, we'll talk about Vanderbilt. We'll talk about all that fun stuff coming up. First thing we got to talk about, the AP poll has just released, and Texas finds themselves moving up a few spots into the number 20 after a couple of teams in front of them end up losing. Just some quick initial thoughts. We'll focus on Texas here, but just B-Ross, in terms of where Texas is at, do you think Texas is properly ranked? Do you think they're a little too high, a little too low? Where are you at right now with Texas in the AP poll?
So, only problem I have is Oklahoma should be behind us. We beat Oklahoma head to head.
That's true.
I feel some type of way about that. And everything else is fine, but that bothers me. They have the same amount of losses, and one of their losses comes to Texas. You can't tell me that they should be ahead. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's the only thing I see wrong. Everything else, I think other teams have better wins, and probably the losses are relatively the same. Minus the Florida loss. No, that was a bad loss. But yeah, that's the only thing I really see right now.
Yeah, I think. Look, in the end of the day, in today's world of college football, all that matters is winning. Obviously, Texas has been winning in very unsexy ways, but you do have a ranked win on your resume versus a pretty good Oklahoma team. I mean, I know they're not the best in the SEC, but they're a good football team. They're not bad by no means, and we handled
a dominant win. Yeah,
we dominated them.
Like, it wasn't a close game.
No, it wasn't.
You know what I mean? So, like, it wasn't Oklahoma, Auburn, or Oklahoma, South Carolina. Yeah. No, we beat them like it was nobody's business. Walked out with an easy win. One of our easier wins all year. And we're ranked 2 spots behind them. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, by far and away the easiest win against, competent level teams, not, Sam Houston's of the world. So, yeah, Texas at 20. I feel like this is a pretty, in general, I think the entire AP poll is actually really accurate. And it makes sense. We're kind of in that time now where we're getting towards the latter stages of the season. By the way, the playoff poll, I believe, is going to be playoff rankings are going to be out. I want to say next Tuesday. So a week from now, we're going to be getting
soon.
we should be getting that here soon. So I don't expect to see Texas in there. And that is me speaking as unbiased as possible. I don't think Texas is in that spot right now. My expectations is that you're going to see a couple SEC teams in there, and we're going to talk about the SEC a little bit later. But in terms of where every other SEC team is at right now, A&M's at 3. They looked really good this past week. They look good all year long, and their schedule is not difficult.
Now, I don't think they've looked good all year long because they have laws against bad teams.
True.
But because they're more talented, they get away with a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
But they are a good football team. Best team, and I want to say one of the best teams in the country on third down on defense. They have an explosive passing game. The quarterback is dynamic with his legs. That's a really good football team that we have left on the schedule. So that's going to be a very interesting game.
Well, the funny thing about A&M is I don't think we really know how good they are. Their best win of the season is against Notre Dame, a team in which they were down in that game. They made a comeback. Yep. They won by 1 point. Notre Dame's a really good football club, so that's a good win for them. But outside of that, Auburn, bad football team, they beat by 6. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State, who obviously Texas had a fight with, they beat them comfortably. They beat Florida. They just beat Arkansas. They just beat LSU, who just fired their head coach.
They barely beat Arkansas. Probably should have lost.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Arkansas gave them a run for their money. And then next week they have Missouri, who is down to their third string quarterback, I believe. Mm-hmm. So no Bo Prabula for that one, not even the backup. Then they have South Carolina, who not a good football team this year. Then Samford, and by the way, as obviously we're Texas fans here, we think Texas will be ranked at that point. There's no guarantee Texas is ranked by the end of the season. So if you take a look at their schedule, assuming Texas is ranked, they're only going to have 2 games on their schedule against ranked opponents. So it's tough to, but they're winning games. So give them their flowers. and that's all that matters. They're looking like they're going to be in the SEC championship game. But behind them, you got Alabama at 4. Bama, not a great week this week, but you take away the Florida State game, they've looked really good for most of the
really
season.
good,
especially
really good football team.
Yeah, and they're beating good teams too. I mean, this past week was their who did they play this week? They played
South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina. Wasn't a pretty game, went down to the wire, but they put off the win there. Georgia obviously loses to Bama, but Georgia still looks really good. They have flaws. They're not a great defense this year. They're not the typical Georgia stout offensive lines, stout defensive lines, but they got some dudes on the defense, and that dude Gunnar Stockton. I've heard some people compare him to Max Duggan, and I could definitely see that. I can
see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, and then Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, all those guys. I don't know if Ole Miss, has a great victory on their resume yet. I think they're a good ball club. I don't know if they're a team that's pushing for a championship this year, but I think they can, be competitive. And then down the board, Tennessee, they're a good ball club, but they're not in the upper tier of the SEC. Same with Oklahoma. Yeah. Missouri is going to be probably unranked here soon because of the injuries at quarterback. And then you got Texas to round it off. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SEC teams in the top 25. Not bad.
Yep. Nah, not bad at all. It'll be interesting to see. Texas beat Vandy this week.
Yeah.
We got to start having some conversations.
Well, without the starter, more than likely, in Arch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Which that's gonna suck for Arch.
Yeah. By the way, Arch got pulled over today on campus, so it was going viral on Twitter for getting pulled over. They said he might want to transfer to Georgia.
Jesus.
It's like, all right, what are we doing? Anyways, yeah. So Texas at number 20 in the AP poll. If Texas beats Vanderbilt without their starting quarterback, I think Texas easily moves up a handful of spots, and they might actually, if they beat Vanderbilt comfortably, I think they might find themselves in the playoff rankings. I really would not be surprised.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because you have 2 ranked wins.
That's a quality win.
Yeah, it is. And your 2 losses are against Florida, not a good loss, but your other one's to Ohio State, who's probably gonna be the number 1 seed by then. So it's a big game for Texas. It's a big game for Texas and a big game for Vanderbilt too. Vanderbilt, they have looked good this year. We'll talk about them here in just a little bit, but Vanderbilt's ranked at 9. This is one of 3 matchups for Texas the rest of the way against ranked opponents. They're going to be up against A&M late in the season, up against Georgia, who's at number 5, and then Vanderbilt. So 3 top 10 opponents in the AP poll Texas will be facing here in a few weeks. Not the easiest of schedules. And Arkansas can play too.
Yes, they can.
They are not a bad team.
If their quarterback is healthy, they always have a chance to beat you. But you're talking about Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M. That is a gauntlet of gauntlets. But, I mean, hey, that's why Sark makes the big bucks.
Yep. All right, guys, let us know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this week's AP poll? Is Texas put in the right spot? Should Texas be higher or lower? Let us know down below. All right, some breaking news for the week. Brian Kelly's gone at LSU. Number 1, we're going to talk about some potential candidates for LSU in that job, but we're also going to talk about how this affects Texas. So let's start off with that. B. Ross, you've been, around, obviously professional football. You've been around coaches moving, things of that nature, players moving. For LSU, losing Brian Kelly, how does that affect Texas in terms of recruiting, in terms of transfer portal, all that stuff? How does it affect Texas?
I think it opens some doors to some big time recruits who are committed to LSU right now, because unless they go bring in Urban Meyer or Nick, like they have to bring in a major name to like keep those recruits to me. But if not, there's plenty of talent down there in the Bayou that Texas should probably go take a peek at. And if guys enter the portal, like they don't have a bad roster by any stretch of the imagination. So, if I'm Texas's GM right now, I'm looking at that team. It was like, okay, where can we get good players for a good price and fill some obvious holes that we have on this roster? Whether that's O-line, whether that's the cornerback room, safety room for next year. Like, what does this roster look like next year? I'm going straight to LSU. I'm looking at that Florida roster. I'm looking at these high profile jobs that are out there where guys are going to be in the portal and seeing how we can improve this Texas roster.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at some of the players in their recruiting class for this upcoming year in 2026. There's a lot of guys that Texas is looking at that is on LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys have already, committed. Some guys are thinking about committing. Some guys, are now having to make a decision. So a few names, big name here, Lamar Brown, one of the top players in the 2026 class. He is committed to LSU now. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's tough to pull those guys out of LSU. Those guys love LSU. It's a big,
It is
big state tradition, Louisiana State. So it's tough to get him out. But right now, Texas is not one of the favorites for Lamar Brown. If he's gonna flip, it sounds like Texas A&M could be the spot for him. The next one is Trenton Henderson, 6'4", 225, 5-star edge rusher. This is from 24/7 Sports. Florida guy, but he has already taken an official visit for Texas, and he's one of the top potential flip targets for Texas. Although Texas has some pretty good edge rushers already in their class. I've heard some other names too. Richard Anderson, Jabari Mack. Jabari Mack already had a visit to Texas at one point.
Yep.
Kenny Darby, a little bit down the board, a receiver. There are a bunch of guys in this 2026 class for LSU. And of course, a lot of them will end up staying. It's not going to be, like all of a sudden Texas is going to get every single one of these guys. But there is a really good chance Texas could be the beneficiary of Brian Kelly being fired. And frankly, look, this is no disrespect to any of the guys committed to LSU. I don't understand why you would commit to Brian Kelly. That guy is somebody
he was never a fit there.
No.
As a guy who got to be around Coach O and be in that building, I never understood how Brian Kelly fit Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That is down home. We're family. Their country is all hell, but great people down there, great atmosphere. I will say the loudest place I've ever been to.
Oh yeah,
night game, bar none. Oh my god, it's rocking, stadium shaking, but great atmosphere. It's so much going on. Brian Kelly was not the guy, was not a fit. And to your point, the fact guys went there they were, oh yeah, I'm going. I never understood it, and it always rubbed me the wrong way that Greg Brooks, who ended up, with a degenerative disease, I believe, hurt himself, whatever.
Oh, yep. Yeah. I know you're talking about.
Brian Kelly never reached out. Yeah. And he was a good football player, scouted on him, tough, physical, all that stuff. Really good football player, better person. No one in the building had a bad thing to say about this kid. And Brian Kelly never reached out to him once he wasn't on that team. And I always felt the way about that. That is terrible to me.
There was another player who went to LSU. I don't know what his name is, but he put out some tweets basically kind of telling a very similar story of how he got recruited there. He was treated well when, he was producing for them, but when he was a backup or when he was hurt, Brian Kelly just did not care about him. There was some stuff that Josh Pate said about how he didn't know anybody on the staff or didn't know most of his staff and whatnot. Yeah. He was taking vacations during recruiting and stuff. This is why that whenever conversations pop up about should Texas fire Steve Sarkisian, I just say, guys, it could be a lot worse. You could have Brian Kelly.
Oh, my God.
And, we talked a bit earlier about some of the recruiting classes for LSU and, under Brian Kelly. For a team in LSU that is a hotbed with a ton of recruits, they don't recruit as well as you think they would. I mean, they're recruiting top 10 consistently, but they're usually outside the top 5. Last year, they were 10th in the composite ranks. In 2024, they were 7th in the composite ranks.
Yeah.
2023, they were 5th in the composite ranks. This is LSU. They should consistently be up there with Texas, Georgia, Bama, fighting for top 3 classes, but it's not really been the case.
Well, part of the issue is Brian Kelly was leaving Louisiana. You don't leave. It would be like Sark going to California and Florida to get talent when you're in the state of Texas. Louisiana has plenty of talent. Per capita, they have the most players in the NFL. It's for a reason. It's a talented area. He was going so many other places where he was comfortable recruiting, going to get guys who weren't as good.
Yeah.
where you are in a hotbed of talent. I mean, like I'm talking about direct impact and guys who would develop and get better and be impacting years 2, 3, and 4. But he never capitalized on the fact that you're in one of the, Houston's right there. It's a 3.5, 4 hour drive. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
right in your backyard essentially, and you're LSU. So yeah, man. Like, whoever they bring in next is going to have to understand how to recruit that area and understand the importance of keeping those kids at home.
Yeah. So in that sentence, what would be some candidates for you if you are LSU?
Oh,
Which, by the way, LSU is probably the top job out there right now. I know there's Penn State, Florida is a good program. Well, has had history as a good program, not as so much as late, but LSU by
yeah.
far and away the biggest job opening out there. Even if Florida State opens, even if Michigan State or Michigan, even if Michigan opens, yeah, or Auburn, which is crazy to think that it can even get that much crazier. But
that'd be insane.
LSU is probably a top 5 or 6 job out there. But
I would say top 3.
It might be top 3 because I look at it. It's Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Bama, even Georgia. I think LSU is probably a better job than Georgia, honestly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Well, if I'm the AD, the first thing I'm doing, I have to do my due diligence. I'm calling Nick Saban.
Yeah, swing big.
And I'm saying if he wants to come back home. Hey, Nick, how much? What are we talking here, right?
Yeah.
What does your wife need for you to come back? Because ultimately, any of your decision, what does the missus need for you to come back, right? Let's say he gives me a hell no. I'm going to Urban Meyer. Urban's track record checks out. He wins everywhere he goes, minus the NFL. That was never a fit. That was like Brian Kelly going to LSU. Was never a good fit because he can't control grown men the same way he does college athletes. So, I'm calling Urban. Then, me personally, I'm calling Dan Lanning.
Yeah, gotta go there.
I think he's one of the, like he got out of the SEC as a defensive coordinator, took the job at Oregon, and really has turned him into like a perennial powerhouse. Like Oregon's always been good, but like we're talking about Oregon in a different way now since he's been there. And then the last guy I probably call, who, because I know at the least he can score some points, Lane Kiffin. I think you gotta call Lane and test that temperature, more so because you can offer more than Ole Miss, and you're in a recruiting hotbed in terms of talent that Ole Miss doesn't have, and you were winning in spite of that. So come to Ole Miss and give them a blank check. I would give all those guys a blank check. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's
what about you?
Man, I mean you hit the top ones there. If I'm looking at some smaller names, man, Matt Campbell, I don't know if he'd be I feel like Matt Campbell could be a fit at LSU. I think Matt Campbell is just perfect for Iowa State. I just don't really think that would be one. Joe Brady. I think Joe Brady, obviously former coordinator for
I was
LSU.
Thinking about that too. Like, former coordinator, national championship team. He's ready to be a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator in that. Like, I can see that being a good fit for sure.
You could go with the Tulane head coach.
John
Summerall. Then you can go.
That's a really
he's a good one. Eli Drinkwitz, I don't think is a fit for LSU.
No.
I think he's really good at Missouri.
No. Yeah.
I would stay as far away from Jimbo Fisher as I could. I'm looking at the odds right now, and Jimbo Fisher's on there. I'm like, get away from him.
No.
I think one that LSU fans probably don't want to hear that I think could be a good fit because he has won in the past, but not at the highest level, would be a James Franklin. If you're looking for somebody that you can guarantee he's going to step in and be a good coach that maybe can compete with better talent at LSU. I mean, he's going to recruit well. I think I don't know if he'd be a good fit for him. That's what I'll say. But I do think he has a history of working in of course, some big schools. So for me, like you said, if I'm the AD, I am calling up Marcus Freeman. He's probably not leaving, but I'm calling Marcus Freeman. I'm calling Nick Saban. I'm calling Dan Lanning.
Now, that's a good pull because Marcus Freeman is more of an LSU guy than Brian Kelly was.
By far,
he can recruit that area way better than Brian Kelly could. So I'm not mad at that. That's
people like him.
Pull.
People like Marcus Freeman a lot.
They do.
It's just going to be, does he want to leave Notre Dame? It feels like he's pretty loyal to that program. So, yeah, I think I'd call those guys up. If I can't get them, of course, Lane Kiffin's a really good candidate because he's a really smart offensive mind. Lincoln Riley, I think I'd also call, but
that.
He's not going to leave USC, though. It'd be tough. Tough to get him out of USC. So, yeah, obviously you got to go big fishing first. I don't know if they're going to be able to land any of those. Do you think Mike Elko from A&M would be a candidate? I don't think so.
He's not leaving. Like, knowing him and coming from Duke, like, he's a very loyal guy. Like, and I think he wants to build Texas A&M program. Like, you got to think, like, they haven't won anything since, like, the 50s. True. Anything of relevancy. So to like be that guy there, he'd be a legend there. So I don't think he'll leave. But who knows? But no, I can see it being a fit though, because he has a coach aura about him in terms of energy and like the way he does things. But I don't think he leaves Texas A&M.
I don't either. And last thing I'll say here, LSU has some really talented players that are on their roster right now. Man. I think if they land a really good head coach, I think a lot of these big name guys stay. But there are some dudes who Texas might want to take a look at. Harlem Berry, number 1 ranked running back in 2025. Talented player. LSU hasn't really used him a ton. DJ Pickett, 5-star true freshman out of Florida, 6'5", 195. Man, that's good stuff right there. If he can adjust to playing in the SEC, maybe develop in certain spots, maybe he leaves LSU. Trades Green, obviously, if you want more of a veteran linebacker, Whit Weeks, I think he might go pro at the end of the year. They also have some really solid offensive linemen. So, all in all, man, look, LSU is in a pickle here. They're going to have to hire their head coach very quickly, and their head coach right now might be a head coach somewhere else that's maybe contending for a playoff spot. So they're in a really tough spot. I do wonder, like, if a team were to hire Lane Kiffin, let's say LSU hires Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss makes the playoffs, like the timing of that would be really difficult.
So he would finish out the season with Ole Miss. His like the issue is how much of his staff is he want to bring with him to
LSU,
down to LSU, because the way it works is coach gets hired, he interviews the guys who are at the school he's going to, just in case he wants to keep anybody. Maybe he knows a couple guys on that staff and he wants to keep them in a different role. So then, is that offer? Then it's getting his staff from Ole Miss down to LSU. And that's like, and it's not just coaching, it's personnel. Is he going to bring the trainer? Is he going to bring the nutritionist? Like, they have all of that there, but is he trying to bring his own people? So that's what makes it tough for a guy like Lane Kiffin or guys who already have a job. Then
you also have to
me, it's a top job, though. You
also have to think about transfer portal. You also have to think about the National Signing Day.
You got the National Signing Day coming up, like all of that, because then all your recruits at Ole Miss who maybe committed. Now, how many do you take with you to offer at LSU? Yeah. And then how many LSU guys do you want to keep on? Like, it's a different animal to change job, especially same conference. Like, you're in the same exact conference. Like, you are playing with fire in ways that don't want to be you. Minus the check. Yeah, I was
going to say, you want to make that money. They're making that money. But
$15 million a year.
Texas fans, let us know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Brian Kelly being fired? What are your thoughts on how this can affect Texas? Let us know in the comments below. All right. Texas is facing Vanderbilt this rank. Texas now ranked at number 20. Vanderbilt ranked at number 9. We'll talk about some keys to Vanderbilt, but just real quickly, let's look at some of the numbers here. Diego Pavia is their leading rusher and their leading passing, of course, quarterback, passing yards. 1,698 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. Completion percentage of 68.8%. Running the football, he leads the team in carries, leads the team in yards, and is second in rushing touchdowns. 85 carries, 458 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Leading running back would be Cedric Alexander, 73 for 388 and 6 touchdowns. And then their leading receiver, kind of have a trio here. Eli Stowers is by far and away, I think, their best. I think he's arguably their best player in general. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
31 catches for 397 and 2 touchdowns. Junior Sherrill, 26 receptions, 312 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season. And then Trey Richardson, 24 catches, 304 yards, and 1 touchdown. Vanderbilt's a good football team. They have some good wins on their resume. They have beaten Virginia Tech. They've beaten South Carolina. South Carolina win, in hindsight, not that impressive. They were ranked 11th at the time. They're no longer ranked. And I believe Lenore Sellers got hurt in that game. Then they lost to Alabama, 30-14. In the past 2 weeks, they beat LSU. Obviously, how good is the LSU win? Not too sure. And they beat Missouri, who had their third-string quarterback playing in this game. And they only won that game by 7 points. So, B. Ross, what are your thoughts on the Vanderbilt game? And then we'll talk about some keys a little later.
Yeah, man. So going into the season, I thought this would be a big game because I knew how good this Vanderbilt team was because of how they run the ball. It's a spread option running attack. That's why it's 3 guys with 300 yards receiving. They do a good job of spreading the ball around to their guys, and they're very creative on offense with their motions and just their blocking schemes and how they manipulate and hide what they're really trying to do at the point of attack. With that being said, the key to the game is going to be creating internal pressure in Pavia's face. He's short. He's a little dude. So with that, in the run and pass game, penetration from our D tackles is going to be key. Alex January is going to have his best game. Canoe, best game. Like that room is going to have to step up in ways that they don't know because penetration destroys the triple option. It destroys the passing game. And for short quarterbacks, what does it do? It forces them to move out of the pocket. That's all Bama did. Bama made him go outside the pocket. Why? Because that's where all that speed is. So if you're telling me that we got Colin Simmons spying Pavia, you know what? I'm taking Colin Simmons 9 out of 10 times winning that matchup. So our ability to affect him and get hits on him, when he carries the ball, we got to make him pay.
Yes.
We have to get the offensive coordinator out of rhythm because he doesn't want to get the quarterback hurt. Granted, he's a pretty tough kid, runs the ball with physicality. He's not sliding. That's why you got to make him pay. You have to get as many hits on the quarterback as you can, especially when he is a runner. And I think everything else kind of falls in place because if he can't get going, the offense is stagnant. He is the thing that makes the thing go in the run and pass game. And Eli Stowers will be an interesting matchup just because they do a good job of moving him around, put him in different spots to get him open. So whoever's matched up on him, I'm hoping it's Jelani because I think that's the perfect matchup for him. A guy with some size, some strength,
speed.
Like to me, like this is a Jelani McDonald. When you are in coverage on him, take his ass out the game. And I think he's more than capable of doing it. But to me, that all depends on if Michael Taft plays. Does he play in any capacity? Because if he does, Jelani is allowed to play ball. Yeah. See, now I don't know because now we might see some linebackers on him, and that's a matchup he can win. Like he's a good football player. But yeah, everything starts with the quarterback.
Yeah,
internal pressure. Keep him in the pocket because he can't see. That's why he scrambles when things go south. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He looks for outlets on the outside because he can't see.
Yeah. So far this year, they went up against 4 SEC teams. All 4 of the teams at the time of playing them were ranked. He had 177 passing yards versus South Carolina, 198 versus Alabama. They were playing from behind, so they passed a lot more. 160 versus LSU and 129 versus Missouri. So this is not going to be a really heavy passing attack. They're going to try to move the chains, eat up time of possession, run the football effectively. And as you mentioned, Diego Pavia is the catalyst of this offense. He is basically everything for this team, right? He is the guy that brings the energy, the guy that brings the swagger, the guy that gives them the productivity. They have a lot of older players. This is a very experienced football team. Obviously, Pavia has a lot of experience, but a lot of other guys have a lot of experience on this team on the defense and offensive side. And you compare that to Texas, who's a very kind of younger team, right? I think the average age at Texas is like 19. I think the average age at Vanderbilt's like 22 or something like that. So very experienced football team here in Vanderbilt. But, you know, when I look at their resume so far this year, I don't necessarily think this team is as good as what that, you know, AP poll ranking might suggest. You hear number 9, you're like, oh, this is going to be a really freaking good team. No disrespect to Missouri. They're a great football team. I don't know if I'd call them a top 10 team in the country.
No.
But still, look, they've won all their games. I think the best game for Texas to look at would be the LSU game, because LSU is kind of similar to Texas in terms of good defense, you know, inconsistent offense. I think Texas's highs are a lot better than LSU's. I'll say that, because LSU is just a really stagnant offense. Texas has some really good highs.
LSU can't run the ball to save their life.
No, they can't. Well,
they don't commit to it.
Can Texas?
When we're healthy, we can. And that's the issue, is like health right now. We aren't a healthy football team. From the quarterback to our safety to both running backs being banged up. Like, we're just not healthy.
And that's going to bring me to my first key to this game. If Arch does not play, Matthew Caldwell has to be a point guard. He has to make the layups. He's got to dish the ball in great ways. And I think Steve Sarkisian needs to set him up for success, because and by the way, I think Caldwell is going to run a system that's a lot more in line to what we've seen in past years, because I think he can play 100%. With some anticipation, as we've seen a couple of throws this year where he's throwing guys open. He doesn't have a crazy arm, so I'm not expecting a lot of deep shots down the field, but I think this, with Matthew Caldwell being here, I think it might open up a little bit more of that intermediate game, which was really, really where Quinn thrived the past few years at Texas. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that in this game, and maybe that'll make Sarkisian a little bit more comfortable with this matchup. So that's my number one key. Matthew Caldwell, if he starts, can he be a point guard? If it's Arch, you know, can Arch replicate that success in the fourth quarter against Mississippi State? Can we spread it out a little bit more? Can we make some big shots down the field? Can we run the football? Can we have a functional, you know, thriving offense? Because if we found something there, that's really exciting. If not, if we do have Caldwell out there, I expect a bit more of a methodical, not big play approach, but very much like what we saw from Quinn Ewers last year.
But that's how he should be calling for Arch to me.
Yeah.
Just like take the game out of his hands sometimes and say, you're running, you know, slants on this side, slant on this side, 3-step drop, get rid of it, completion. Like, you know what I mean? Call the game like he's a backup quarterback, because he clearly played better as a backup last year, right? Like we saw a lot more, but now he's trying to, no, bro, let Arch just manage the game. Let him be Alex Smith. Alex Smith, I hated playing Alex Smith. You know why? Alex Smith didn't make effing mistakes. Why? Because Andy Reid never gave him the chance to. He never gave him a chance to do something stupid. Hated playing Alex Smith. It was so boring. You just sit there, just backpedal and break.
Yep. Well, I think one of the weird things for Texas is that we've won games in multiple ways, but we just don't have an identity. Like Oklahoma, it was very much like how Alex Smith was, where we were running the football effectively. Arch, just get the ball, you know, no shots down the field, a lot of just dinking and dunking, getting the ball out to your playmakers, run the football well. And then last week, it was, we can't run the ball, so we're going to spread it out wide, and we're going to get the ball to Ryan Wingo on some screens. He'll take it 50 yards. We're going to take some deep shots here and there. Like, it's weird to me how Texas hasn't figured out their identity yet. And so that's why I'm kind of like, okay, if Arch does play, I'm interested to see how Sark calls it. Does he call it a bit more like that fourth quarter, hurry up,
I would
spread
hope
it out?
so.
I think we could, because we're more athletic than Vanderbilt, way more athletic.
Yes.
Vanderbilt has some good players, and they're not going to make a ton of mistakes in coverage, but our guys can get behind them. They can stack and make some separation. And usually Arch, when guys are open downfield, he usually layers the ball really well. So
he does.
If Arch is playing, I think we're going to see more of what we saw in the fourth quarter. If Caldwell plays, which I think as of today, if I was a betting man, I think Caldwell
plays. Yeah.
So I expect to see a lot more of a 2024 Texas offense. And, you know, look, the short time we've seen Caldwell play, he's looked really freaking good. And so that's exciting to me.
Yes.
I think one of my underlying concerns is that what if Caldwell does play well?
That's why I said that's gonna suck for Arch. If he plays well, we beat Vanderbilt. Like, let's say we beat them by 14.
Oof.
Like, you can't. You talking about an issue
That
that
puts
creates
Sark
a
in
whole set of problems for Sark and Texas, because now it's like, well, this is working, and then I want to say we get a bye week, and then Georgia.
Yeah, and Georgia.
Right. So now it's like,
Yeah.
well, so now that was the first thing I thought about. If Caldwell plays and he plays well, I mean, like, let's say he's efficient, he's 65%, no interceptions, 1 touchdown, throws for $195, 200. We run the ball fairly well. He has 56 yards rushing on the ground as well, because he can run.
He can.
Like he's athletic with his legs. How do you take now? Because now, to me, that's quarterback controversy, because now this is the best offensive look all year, because you have a senior operating it at a high efficient level, taking what the defense gives them, but you have the guy who's more talented just like sitting there. Oh man.
And your thing is too is you really can't bench Arch, right?
No,
because you can't. I mean, that would
cannot
benching a healthy starting quarterback, that kills their confidence.
Red flag. I'm leaving.
Exactly. He would be gone too. If he got benched for Caldwell, he's going to transfer. And so it does present
going to whoever going in the draft.
Oregon.
Dante Moore leaves, he's going to Oregon with Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning stays going to Oregon.
Yeah, 100%. Or Lanning goes to LSU. He going to LSU.
He going to LSU with Lane. Oh my God! Hey, listen, you can open up a can of worms with the play of Matthew Caldwell. And like what Texas does after that. Matthew Caldwell can reshape college football. This would be like the butterfly effect.
He really could.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm like, please play well, win us the game, but let's run the football. Let's just run the football down their throat so we can.
Let's run for like 250. So they're like, oh, he run because of the running game. Yes, he did.
The other thing too about this game, if Caldwell does play, the backup, I believe, would be KJ Lacey and not Trey Owens. So we are one more injury away from seeing a really young player in at quarterback in a tough situation. The good news is it's going to be at Texas, and it's not a night game. It's at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So a little bit easier, less stress on a younger quarterback. But yeah, KJ Lacey or Trey Owens, whoever's suited up, ready to go, they got to be ready to play, because just in case, you never know. One hit takes the helmet off, you're out there on the football field.
Yeah.
So this is a stressful week.
So to that point in the keys, like, our O-line has to be the best they've been since probably Ohio State. And to me, that was the best game they played all year, which is crazy to say. That was
in Oklahoma.
Yes. Because we didn't allow sacks and we ran the ball well. Both of those games. And they are going to have to step up regardless of who's at quarterback, because now if Arch is at quarterback, you have to protect him with even more urgency because of the injury he's coming off of. If it's your backup quarterback, he's not Arch. You have to protect with more urgency. You know what I mean? Like, it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the O-line has to be the best they've been since those 2 games for us to even have a real chance.
Yeah. So Vanderbilt has he's a good edge rusher. Miles Capers, he is a senior, has 4.5 sacks in the year. Zaylen Wood, interior defensive lineman, has 3 sacks. They got a safety, CJ Hurd, has an interception on the year, has a forced fumble, I think he leads the team in tackles too. So he's a really good ball player. They're a very experienced defense. You're not going to see this team have a ton of breakdowns, but Texas is more athletic. They're more talented. And yeah, the quarterback thing is going to be a really tough conversation. And I as you mentioned, there is a chance that this thing does shape college football, depending on how it goes. If it goes good great for Texas and Caldwell balls out,
Arch is leaving.
Could be some headaches going on in Texas town. So you guys let us know in the comments below. What are your keys to Texas beating Vanderbilt with or without Arch? You guys let us know in the comment section below. All right. Next up, SEC check-in week. We're going to talk about the SEC, kind of give some updates on how teams are performing. And then because the playoff rankings are about to be out, we're going to go ahead and give a percentage to every team in the SEC as to how likely they are to make the playoffs. So for starters, just looking at the SEC, right now A&M leads the way. They're 5-0 in conference play, 8-0 on the season. Behind them would be Alabama, 5-0 in conference, 7-1 overall. Then you got Ole Miss, Georgia, Vanderbilt, and then Texas, Tennessee, and then a whole plethora of not so great teams that include Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma, Florida. So right now, what are your thoughts on the SEC? Who's leading the pack? Who looks like the best team in the SEC so far?
I think the best team is still Bama. I don't think like Texas A&M has had an easier schedule.
Very easy.
I think that Bama lost in the beginning kind of like shook some people off of them. Like, but if you watch the tape since then, they are rolling. Like on both sides of the ball, they are playing some good football. So, like I think Bama makes the SEC championship.
Only thing Bama can't do is they can't run the football.
And it's crazy because they have the front to do so.
Yeah. And you'd think this is Alabama, right? This is Alabama. Their leading rusher is 308 rushing yards on the season. Jam Miller averaging 3.8 yards per rush.
Crazy.
It's not good enough. They're going to figure that out.
No, not at all. But to that point, Georgia can't run it.
Nobody can.
Texas A&M is okay at it, but they live and die by the big play on the edges. Like that's what makes them explosive and good. It's not the running game. Like the best run game
probably
Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, like those teams in the middle right there. Like that's what they do. Like even Tennessee, like people think that's a run first offense. They spread you out so they can just run in your face. But yeah, I think Bama is the most well-rounded team. Texas A&M, I don't think they've been tested enough for me to give them that nod over Bama. And Georgia, that defense is atrocious. And they can't run the ball. They can't stop the run. They give up explosive plays, and they can't run the ball. Like, I'm not too sold on Georgia.
Yeah, A&M had Le'Veon Moss, who I believe has an injury now. The next would be Ruben Owens, who has 440 rushing yards. But, I mean, when you look at their schedule, they have faced, bums almost every week. Let's be honest.
Nobody.
I mean, some good football teams. I don't want to be too rude. Like Auburn, they have a good defense. LSU has a good defense. They did a good job against them, put up a ton of points versus LSU, not so much Auburn. But they haven't really been tested too much outside of Notre Dame. So, yeah, for me, I think the best team is also Alabama, and then I would go A&M, and then I'd probably go Georgia, and probably Ole Miss, Tennessee, some of those teams. I think Georgia, they just win football games. They're not playing perfect football. It's not pretty. I don't know if they're going to win a national championship this year, but they're a tough, gritty team that can score points, and they can get a few stops here and there. They're not a great defense, but they have a good enough offense that can score a lot of points. So, and then A&M, look, Mike Elko's got those guys rolling. I know their schedule hasn't been the hardest thing in the world, but you play the guys you that are in front of you. And so far this year, they've been pretty dang dominant. They haven't been perfect because, look, the Auburn game, they barely won. They barely beat against Notre Dame, barely beat Arkansas, but they handled their business for most of the season. Their only test this year is going to be Notre Dame and Texas at the end of the year. And that, we'll see where Texas is at that point. Texas might not even be ranked.
I just have a strange feeling that South Carolina game is going to be a trap. That is a trap because they should have beat Bama. Let's put that out there. That South Carolina team is not void of talent. They're void of execution. Like they just make critical mistakes in key moments far too often. The team is talented. It is talent. It's NFL talent all over that team. So that game is very intriguing only because I can see those guys, handling Missouri and then going into the South Carolina game kind of, they're not even ranked. Like, just kind of a little overlooking. And like, Elko shouldn't allow that to happen. I don't think he necessarily is going to, he's going to be, coached the same way. But like that South Carolina team is dangerous because they have playmakers on both sides. I can see there being like a little bit of a trap game where where they're, coming off this high of, we got this many in a row since the first time since then, and trap game. Granted,
Yeah,
they get that at home too. So I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. They get that one at home. So, yeah, I mean, look, the SEC, it's very deep in talent. Like even Auburn is a tough football team. Mississippi State Mississippi State should be 3-1 in conference play. I mean, they have been kind of
absolutely
screwing themselves over, tripping on their own feet. Arkansas has players. The worst team by far is Kentucky. And, even Kentucky took Texas to overtime. So now transitioning over now, we're to go from top to bottom. What would you give the playoff chances? We'll start off with Texas A&M. What are their playoff chances at the end of the season?
They're at 95%. Like, I have a hard time believing they don't make – like, they will have to lose versus Missouri, which would be a bad loss, really, honestly, because they don't have their starting quarterback, right? And then if they lose to South Carolina or Texas and they end up at 2 losses, those losses look way worse at this stage because everything before looks just flawed and very just fake. But I'm going to put it at 90%. Strong 90.
I think they'll handle their business. Even if they lose one game, let's say they lose to Texas, they'll be fine. They're going to be in the playoffs. I feel pretty confident about that. Alabama.
What about Bama?
Their schedule for the rest of the season is they have LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn. Auburn, obviously, Iron Bowl, always a tough game. And it's going to be at Auburn.
Yeah.
Already have one loss. I think they can still make it in with one more loss, but I think they beat LSU. I think they beat Oklahoma. And I think Auburn, win or lose, rivalry game, I don't think they'll get hurt too much. So I'm going to give I'm going to give Alabama. I'll give Alabama 80% chance, 85. And A&M, I'll go 95.
All right. No.
And then
that's fair.
What do you think about Alabama yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I have them right there, probably 85% chance. Like they would have to drop 2 games to be considered out of it to me. Like if they drop LSU and drop Auburn, I have a hard time believing they get in because both of those teams are unranked.
Yep.
But I don't think they do. If it happened, there is no way you get in with 3 losses.
All right, Ole Miss, which currently sits at 4-1 in conference play, 7-1 on the season. Their best win would be against then ranked 4th LSU, which we've figured out LSU is not a good football team, and Oklahoma, who a little shaky. So, but they have a loss to Georgia, a game in which they actually held a lead at one point, then blew it. So, and then you look at the rest of their schedule: South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. Winnable games. Even if they mess up one more time, let's say they lose to South Carolina or Florida, and they finish the season off 10-2. I think 75%.
Think they make it?
I'll go 85. I'll go 85.
Really? I don't know if they make it still.
I think a 2-loss SEC team makes it over a 2-loss Big Ten team, Big 12. Yeah.
I can see that. But the SEC is not as good as people thought.
It's not, but it's very deep. It's very deep though.
True.
Like the Big Ten, you get past the top 3.
Yeah,
Michigan, Ohio State,
Indiana. Then after that,
that's it. That's it. Illinois is not good.
Yeah. No,
I mean there's some competitive teams. Like Washington's a good football team, but
they're not
that great. Right. They're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I will put Ole Miss. Probably about 80% chance of making the playoffs. I mean, when you look at their schedule, like it's favorable. Like to me, their toughest matchup is actually going to be probably Mississippi State.
Yeah, they're a good team.
I can see. I mean, the Egg Bowl. First off, all rivalry games, the record does not matter. It doesn't matter if one team's undefeated, one team is winless. That games means more to everybody. So you get elevated play. So I could see Mississippi State giving them a real problem. But yeah, I put their chances 75% easily.
All right. Georgia, only loss in the season is to Alabama. Have a overtime win versus Tennessee. Big victory versus Ole Miss. Their remaining schedule: Florida, Mississippi State, Texas, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech. Pretty favorable schedule. Not the easiest. I mean, you have Texas and Georgia Tech's a decent ball club. I'm going to give them a good 75% chance of making it. Even if they slip up once, I think they'll be in. Plus, they have the name value. It's Georgia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 70. I'll go 80, actually. I'll go 80.
I honestly believe it depends on who the loss is to. Because
let's say they lose to Texas.
If it's to Texas, or let's say somehow Mississippi State, like they're going to get pushed down far, and the only way to recover is if they beat that Georgia Tech team that they only beat by 2 points, I think, last year.
Yeah, close game.
If they blow them out, and I don't think they're blowing out the Georgia Tech team because they're not that good. They're not nowhere near as good as they were last year on defense because they lost some studs. And this year, this defense is struggling to find its way. So, those are favorable games, but that defense scares me. It really does. Like,
yeah,
in so many ways,
though.
They do. They find ways to win. They got rivalry this weekend versus Florida. Like, no one's expecting them to win, but again, rivalry games are just different. Like, people just show up couple times a year for rivalry games and then disappear as players.
Yeah.
I can see guys from Florida who haven't played well since Texas showing up. I'm gonna put their chances about 70% though, because ultimately they do have some quality wins. That their only losses versus a quality Bama opponent. So yeah, I'm gonna put their chances at 70%.
All right, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is currently 7-1. Their victories are against Missouri, LSU, and South Carolina. They're big ones. Their loss is to Alabama. They got blown out. Rest of the schedule, they got Texas this week, Auburn, Kentucky, and then 14th ranked Tennessee. I'm going to put them at 50-50. I don't know if they beat Texas, and I don't think they beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think they'll beat Auburn. I know they'll beat Kentucky. But I think Texas can beat them, and if they're not going to make the playoffs, they're a 3-loss team because they just don't have the resume. They just don't have it.
Yeah, no.
So
I'm with you. I mean, they manhandled that South Carolina team, which low key was kind of surprising, like the way they beat them.
But Lenore's got hurt in that game.
He did, but they struggled versus a inconsistent freaking LSU team. They struggled mightily during that game. So, and to your point, even last week versus Missouri, they're on their third string quarterback and you only win by 7. So yeah, I'm more at like 40%. Because honestly, to your point, I don't know if they beat Texas, even with Matthew Cole. I don't know if they beat them. So I'm gonna put their chances of making the playoffs at 40%.
All right, next we got the Texas Longhorns. Texas, obviously, as we all know, 2 losses to then ranked 3, now ranked 1, Ohio State, and the Florida Gators. Their biggest and best victories against Oklahoma. The remaining schedule: Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M. I hate to be this guy. I got to go 20%. Texas cannot afford a loss, and they have 3 top 10 teams up ahead. And from what I've seen, I don't think Texas can run the table here. I think they can win 3 of the next 4, and maybe they can make an argument for it, but I don't think a 3-loss SEC team makes it in unless Texas beats Vanderbilt, Georgia, and A&M, and they somehow lose to Arkansas. Yep. Then I think you have an argument to be made there where you can say we barely lost to Ohio State.
Right.
We beat Georgia, which was 5th ranked. We beat the 3rd ranked A&M and 9th ranked Vanderbilt, and then 6th ranked Oklahoma and destroyed them.
Well, so to beat Georgia in Georgia, that's something in itself. That's why Bama is where they're at. They beat Georgia in Georgia.
It also matters how you beat them. Is it a blowout? Is it close? Right. Did you get lucky?
No. It would if we were closer ranked. But if we're ranked in the 20s still and we're at Georgia and we beat Georgia in Georgia, long as we win.
As long as you win, yeah. Facts.
We're skyrocketing. Well, now what we can't do is we can't get blown out. Like if we lose, we can't get blown out.
Just because.
Like there's a backdoor chance with a 3rd loss that we get in. But we have to beat probably Georgia and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we can drop Vanderbilt. Don't want to, but if we drop Vanderbilt with 3 loss, then they kick us out of the ranking, right? Probably not ranked. Or we're like 25. But to go to Georgia, beat freaking Arkansas at home, and then beat Texas A&M, who's again going to be a top 3 team. You have an argument. You have an argument over a team that didn't even play that many top 10 opponents or that many top 5 opponents. So, there is a path, and I'm going to put the percentage around. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm about 20-25% because that is a gauntlet of a schedule for your last 4 games.
Jesus. It is tough. It is absolutely tough. But as we kind of talked about, I don't really buy Vanderbilt and A&M too much. I think they're great teams, but I don't think they are unbeatable monsters by no means.
No. Well, I just think we match up for what they do. We match up well. Like, we didn't match up versus Mississippi State to me because of the tempo, and it takes away from our rushers. But when you're talking about Vanderbilt wanting to control the clock, run the ball, that's fine. We're pretty good at stopping the run, minus the Florida game. It was one game where things kind of just we couldn't stop the run, and we lost that game by 8, and we should have got blown out. That's the thing about this team. We should probably have way more losses, and we should have got blown out way more. But the fact that we haven't tells me that if we keep all these games close, we'll have a chance in all 3 of them. Yeah.
Even the Ohio State game, lose by 7, had a chance. You had the ball late in that game, just couldn't score. All right, next we got Tennessee. Tennessee on the season, basically beating. I mean, they're doing really well outside of the big games. They lost in overtime to Georgia, lost by 17 to Alabama, had an overtime win versus Mississippi State, and a 3-point win versus Arkansas. Rest of their schedule, they got OU, New Mexico State, Florida, and Vanderbilt. I actually like their chances a little bit more than Texas. I'm going to put them at 30% because I think Tennessee beats Oklahoma. And then obviously they'll beat New Mexico State. Florida's going to be a tough game. That's going to be in the swamp.
Yeah, it is.
So that's tough. But I still think Tennessee can win because Tennessee can score. And then Vanderbilt last week of the season, I think they can win that game too, right? Yeah. So their 2 losses are going to be against what are now top 5 teams by a combined 20 points. So I like their chance a little bit more than Texas, but they will have to go perfect the rest of the way. And they have some tough matchups. So I'll go 33. Well, 33.
33%. Yeah. So their saving grace is they lost early.
Yeah.
And to me, they have a favorable schedule to finish the season. The only team I think that can really give them, Oklahoma is going to be a good game. They'll have a plan for that offense. But that Vanderbilt game, because they're such 2 totally different styles, where one is ball control, they're going to keep their offense on the sideline as much as possible. The game is going to be real slow and methodical and lethargic, whereas Tennessee's high-powered tempo, right? I'm gonna give them, a 35% chance because as good as that offense is and they can score, they have so many laws on defense. That's how they end up losing versus Georgia. They their defense went to sleep and could not stop a nosebleed. And then versus Bama, their inexperience in the secondary showed. So yeah, I'm gonna give them a 35% chance of making the playoff. But to your point, I think they do have a better chance than Texas because their schedule is a whole lot easier back here.
Yep. All right, next we got Missouri. Missouri is currently they just lost their starting quarterback for the season. Well, actually, they said it's not for the season, but he's going to be out for significant time, I do believe. So their victories on the year, they have a win versus Auburn is probably their best win. Their 2 losses are to Vanderbilt, a game which, again, their quarterback left, so they had to play Zollers. And Zollers actually did a fine job playing that game. 17-10, that loss. And then a 3-point loss to Alabama. The remaining schedule, they got Texas A&M this week with their backup quarterback. That's tough. Then you got Mississippi State, not an easy win. That could be a loss. And then Oklahoma at Oklahoma, then Arkansas at Arkansas. I don't like their chances, which is a shame because if they were healthy, I think I would actually not hate their chances of potentially making it.
Yep.
But injured and banged up, I'm going to go 10% chance because I think they're going to lose to A&M, and I don't think they're going to have an argument because they don't have a premier win on their resume. Even if they
Right.
beat Oklahoma, Oklahoma's not some high-ranked football team. So I got to go with 10%.
Yeah, I'm with you. Everything is predicated on the game this weekend, but not having your starting quarterback is, I mean,
Tough.
That is tough for any team. But if they somehow pull off that win, their chances go way up. Like you're talking about a team who unless they slip up versus one of these last three. But again, like these aren't bad football teams. Mississippi State isn't a bad football team.
No.
Oklahoma, still a good football team. Arkansas, I get it. Coach is gone, interim hit, they have talent. And Arkansas can run the ball and have one of the more talented quarterbacks in college football. So Missouri, I'm gonna put him right there with you. I'm gonna put him at 10% because he just like this defense showed up last week versus a pretty good offense. More than I was expecting, but even versus Bama struggled in a lot of moments versus that defense. So if Missouri's defense can show up and keep the game relatively close, and they can steal this one, and they're at home versus Texas A&M, those chances go up.
All right, so the last team that I think has any sort of chance, because Florida has no chance, LSU, they'd have to go on a crazy run, but I don't think they have a chance. Auburn has no chance. South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky. You can basically mark all those guys down with a 0% chance. Oklahoma would be the last team that has a little sliver of a chance. On the year, they're currently 6-2. Their losses are against Texas, obviously rivalry game, and then against Ole Miss, a game they lost by 8. Their best win is against Auburn and probably South Carolina. They beat up on South Carolina. Remaining schedule, though, is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because their schedule is Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and then LSU. So if you can win these next 2 games, if you can beat Tennessee and Alabama, Missouri probably doesn't have their starting quarterback, so that's a winnable game. And LSU, I mean, what are they going to fight for at that point? That could be a winnable game. So this week and next week are going to be huge for this team. Realistically speaking, though, I don't see them beating Tennessee or Alabama. I think they lose the next 2, but I think they beat Missouri and LSU. I think they finish the year off 8-4. That's what I'm looking like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them, I'll go 15%. No, I don't think they win. I'll go 5. I think they lose. So I'll go 5% chance for OU.
I'm at 5% as well because like they have a quality football team, but Tennessee is going to stress that defense out, and Bama I think is just top to bottom more talented. They had a chance versus Ole Miss and blew it. Honestly, like they had a chance to steal that game and conserve their spot in the top 15, and they blew it. And I don't see how that doesn't, or I don't see how that gets any better considering I think Tennessee is way more explosive on offense. I think Bama's way more explosive. And Oklahoma really can't stop the run. We ran the ball effectively versus them. You're talking about going versus Ahmad Hardy with a backup quarterback. You're going to see so much run. Like, I mean, in theory, you think they'll be able to stop it, but I question their ability to stop the run. And then the LSU game, to me, that's a huge. Let's say they somehow win the next 3. The LSU game is a trap game because to your point, they have nothing to play for. They have nothing to play for. Head coach is gone. Everybody's coming back or transferring. Let's go out with a bang. You're going to see all kind of stuff happening on that field, and I think that would be where they slip up. But to your original point, I don't think they beat Tennessee or Bama. I'm giving them a 1% chance.
All right. You guys let us know in the comment section below, of all the SEC teams, which one has the best chance of winning? Got a few comments from Kevin. Won't beat Georgia or A&M. Probably talking about Texas. Could happen. Never know. Or Texas beats them both. You never know. The teams Texas struggled with, A&M blew them out. I mean, yeah. But you can't compare apples to apples.
That means absolutely nothing on any given Saturday.
Yeah. And look, Texas played Marcel Reed last year. Marcel Reed played bad against Texas. We'll see. Yep. You never know. You never know. A&M has a bye week before Missouri. Come on, guys. Get something right. Missouri has their backup quarterback. A&M's going to win that game. So shouldn't be that big of a deal. But appreciate you being here, Kevin. Appreciate you being here, my guy. That all said, B-Rush, got anything you want to say before we hop on out?
I'm curious to see who plays at quarterback for Texas this weekend.
Yeah.
But all that being said, this defense is one of the better ones in the country. They just got to show up. They just have to keep the game close. If we keep the game close, we win the game.
What's up, Temple of Brutus? There's a lot of college football streams going on at once. Join us here, man. Voice of College Football. A lot of good channels over here. Not just Texas. All sorts of ones. Whatever your team is right now. Texas, win out. Y'all's defense only can hang with us. I don't know who y'all is. Y'all is...
Who you're a fan of.
Yeah, who are you a fan of, Temple? Let us know in the comments. But, yeah, I really think it's going to be Matthew Caldwell. Caldwell hands off to Wingo 12-plus times. Oh, fan of OSU. Win out, y'all defense only can hang with
Oklahoma State. Oh, man. Sucks to be you.
No, Ohio State. Ohio State.
I know. Oregon State fan. Nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oklahoma State, yeah.
Or Robert State. No?
Yep, or Templar Brutus. And we could have beat y'all. It was a really close football game.
We should have beat y'all.
We could have, would have, should have. You never know. But, yeah. All right, man. B-Ross, you guys can check him out again. We talked about the intro here. B-Ross, you can follow him at 1b.ross on IG, TikTok, and, of course, here at the Voice of College Football. As for myself, you can follow me on YouTube, Metro Sports YT, or you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Appreciate you guys all for joining us today. And per usual, Texas has a big game versus Vanderbilt. And as it always says, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.